All right, time to grade another video. We're going to take a look at the 2021 FRQ about a manager that would like to increase sales, so he offers $10 off coupons to customers on their next purchase. And what he hopes it does, that it will drive up sales. And so reading this question, going down to part A, it says, is there convincing statistical evidence at the significance level of 0.05, which is pretty typical, but watch, they might give you another number to compare against when you are checking for significance. Is there evidence that the manager's belief is correct? And it says complete the appropriate inference procedure to support your answer. So we know that an inference test starts out by taking a look at hypotheses. And you got to know what kind of test that you're going to use. So let's just make sure that we go back and sort of see what we got. It says they took a sample of 90 customers, right, who placed an order in the past year, and they were selected at random. So let me go ahead and note that. And it says that each of the selected customers was sent an email about the coupon, and it ended up that after they got the coupon, 38 of them placed an order. So we have 38 out of the 90. And that tells you that they're giving you one sample and a proportion. So if I'm testing for inference here, I know I have one proportion, so I know I'm going to be working with one proportion Z test. All right. So the AP again divided this up into 4 sections to give E's and P's and I's to. So the first section, there are 3 things that we're going to be looking for. The first one is, do you have HO and P equals 0.4? Okay, because he thinks it's higher than 40%. So remember, P is the true population proportion of customers who place a reorder after they receive the coupon. And HA is that P is greater than 0.4. So the first thing that we're looking for is this section right here, and that is going to give them their first check on section number 1. The next thing is, you're going to look for anywhere in your answer to part A, is that somewhere did you mention the true population proportion of past customers who place an order when they have received the $10 off coupon. So in our class, we've carefully done that in the restatement of the null and alternative with words. So I see the true population proportion. Yay! That's going to give them the next step, a next check mark right here, and make sure you have the context that goes along with out of that. All right. Now, you could look anywhere. If they only said it in the conclusion, they could still get the check there. The AP grader is going to look around to find out where they said true population proportion of past customers who, after receiving the coupon, place an order on his internet sales thing. So that's the second check. Now, the third check for part A, section number 1, is that did they say that they're using a 1 proportion Z test? So down here underneath my conditions, I can see that my paper does say that we're doing a 1 proportion Z test. So that is the third check for section number 1. I know that it's here, here, and here. You might have to look around to make sure that you have it. But for section number 1, this paper gets a 3 out of 3. Okay, there are 3 components the reader was looking for. Now for section number 2, there are 5 different components that we're going to be looking for section number 5. And mostly that they are going to be popping up into the conditions. The first thing we're looking for is that the customers were chosen randomly, a statement to that effect. The problem states that the customers were selected at random. Okay, that is going to be the first check of section number 2. Did they also state that the 90 customers were less than 10% of all the customers that this manager is dealing with? Yep, it is right there. 90 customers is less than 10% of all customers. The next thing we're looking for is sec fail. And again, you're making sure that we have NP and NQ are both greater than or equal to 10. Now, we go into a test with the presumption that the null hypothesis of 0.4, 40% is true. And that means we're going to be using it when we're checking sec fail. So that means we're going to have N 90 times 0.4 and 90 times 0.6. That has to be there. So is there a formula? No hats. is there substitution into the formula? Did they calculate a product and show that in comparison to 10 and showing itty bitty check marks right there? That is how they're going to get the third check for section number 2. We have 2 more checks to go. All right. The next thing that they're looking for in section number 2 is the correct z-score calculated? Now, since you named the test, you could have done it all on the calculator. The z-score should be equal to 0.43. That is the fourth check. And the last check for section number 2 was the p-value calculated? And the p-value is, let's see, 0.333. Okay, so that should be right there too. All right, and that is going to be the next check. All right, so randomization, 10%, suck fail, the z-score, and the p-value. Those are the 5 things that they have to have in section number 2. My paper has all 5. All right. Now, in section number 3, this is going to be where we're going to be looking for 3 different check marks in the conclusion. The first check mark is going to be, is there a direct comparison of the p-value to your alpha level of 0.05? All right. So the p-value of 0.333 is greater than my alpha level of 0.05. That is going to be the first check here. I'm going to change colors to purple right here, just to make sure there's some distinction. So the first check is p-value compared to the alpha level directly using math comparison words? Yay, it is. The next thing that it's going to do is there's going to need to be is that what is the conclusion we draw? Okay, if the p is low, reject the hoe. This p is not low. Okay, it's not lower than 0.05, it's bigger. So that means the next thing we're looking for is I failed to reject the hoe. That is the second check. And the last thing is, do we have evidence or do we not have evidence? In this case, the P wasn't low. We failed to reject. I do not have evidence of the ha. So look in your answer here. I do not have evidence. Do they have it in context right here? We do not have evidence that the true population proportion of past customers who will place an order after receiving the $10 off coupon. We don't have evidence that it's greater than 40%. The other thing that you can say also include, I do not have evidence that the manager's belief is correct. Okay, that is going to be the third check. Put all that together. Both are important. Make sure that you have them both, and that's going to be worth 3 out of 3 checks. All right. Now, the last part right here is section number 4, which is all about type 1 and type 2 error. And what it's asking for is, based on our conclusion, which we failed to reject, that was our conclusion, could this have been a type 1 or a type 2 error? Or is this a type 1 or type 2 error? Okay, so this is like a false negative, and that means it is a type 2 error. So the first check out of 3, there's going to be 3 checks that we're going to make right here, is that they have to identify this as a type 2 error. Now, I read the rubric, and the safest thing to do is making sure that you actually explain using the I believe, but in fact method to restate what a type 2 error is. That we believe that the coupons are not working to increase reorders, but in fact, they actually are driving repeat orders to be over 40%. All right, so this thing right here, I think it's safe to make sure you restate what a type 2 error is, or whatever you found it to be, to make sure that that is there, all right? To make sure that you're showing the grader that you know why it's a type 2 error. It's sort of like justifying. So you're asked to be able to state a consequence. If you don't think it's working, that means that the manager's consequence is that they're going to discontinue offering the coupons, and that means they're going to have a drop in reorders. It's going to be drop. It's not going to be greater than 40% anymore. It's not. And that means their profits are going to be reduced. So any consequence that the grader deems acceptable, this is just maybe my answer. Your answer might be similar, but not quite exactly the same. As long as you have a reasonable consequence, you're going to get your second check. And the last check is going to make sure you have context. Did you talk about the manager and the coupons and the ordering and all that good stuff? If you have, give yourself that third check to make this 3 out of 3 checks in this problem. So now in this problem, there are 14 different points right here. So put your answer, how many you got out of 14 at the top of your page, and hopefully you have a better sense as to what the AP is looking for to get the E's and the P's and I's by doing the checkmark grading. Thanks a lot. See you next time.